this one your own, put your name on it, and take it with you, all right? And turn to the book of John in the New Testament. Just kind of go somewhere right in the middle to the right. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. John is where we'll be hanging out. John 6 is where we're going to camp out this morning. We are finishing our series called Change. It's been a series about money. Who likes money? Come on, let me hear it. Yes, we love money, right? So I'm going to start with a question. We've been talking about money. We've been talking about who likes money. We've been talking about, I've asked you questions like, do you want more money? Most of you are like, yes. The other of you are a bunch of liars. But I've been asking you questions like that, and we've been discussing these things. But I haven't asked you this question. If you had money, like a good amount of it, like you're like, here, I have a stack of $100 bills or, whatever it is. What would you buy with it? Like, what would you, beautiful. Clothes, I'm with you, girl. All right, what else? What would you buy? I'd pay off my car. Well, what else? What would you buy with money? A sneeze? Were you about to sneeze? What would you guys buy? You would buy a college? Or you would pay you'd pay for your tuition to go to college. Oh, so nice. Okay, education. Okay, college. What else? What? A Big Mac? Ooh. Okay, hey, to each his own, What else? What? An iMac? Okay. An iMac. MacBook Pro? That's okay. What else? A car? Nintendo Switch? Computer? Travel, nice. You would buy Costco. Hey, we have an investor in the room, okay? What else? A recording studio and a Canon 70D. Okay, Harrison, our film guy, just got excited. All right? I mean, think about it. Like, music, you would buy all kinds of, you're like, yeah, you just buy this stuff. We've been talking about money in all kinds of different ways. 2 weeks ago, listen up, 2 weeks ago, we talked about how money does matter. Like, it's not just this neutral thing. Like, it affects us. It's tied to our hearts. And in fact, if you see where you put your treasures, where you spend your money, where you are sending your money, it's pretty easy to judge and see where does your heart stand. And that money can affect you in a positive or negative way. It's not its fault. It is what it is. But it affects us, how we treat it, how we react to it. If I threw a bunch of dollars at you, or $100 right now, would you run and go get them? Or if you found them outside, would you fight somebody for it? I don't know, maybe. Be like, I saw that first. We showed you guys a video on Wednesday of a guy walking around with a jacket, right, with dollar bills on it, and just random, and it said, take what you need. Right? And how many people kept coming and just taking money, right? They didn't even need it. They had suits on. They had sweet bags on. We've been talking about just how does that show the heart of a person, how it can affect you in good and bad ways. Now, we also talked about how at home, because of how money affects you, it could cause fights. It could diffuse fights by how you respond to things, by how you respond to it with your friends, things like that. Then last week we talked about, Curtis talked to us about this idea of like money. We all want it, right? Again, if we were to ask the question, who would like some more money? Everybody would be like, sure, why not? It wouldn't make any sense for you to be like, oh no, I'm good. I don't need any more money. In fact, I have too much of it. Here, take some of mine. Like, you wouldn't do that, right? So it's just something that's in us. Something we want more. It's okay. To a certain extent. So we talked about being content and not walking in an entitlement type of way where we're thinking, hey, you know what? My need is something I deserve. I have this need, but no, I deserve it, right? Which is entitlement. But how can we be content with what we have? How can we diffuse what we want and what we're after to just poison and get after what we already have, right? And actually enjoy what we have. But there's another side of money that I want to talk about this morning that we haven't tapped into yet. See, while money is fun, it can also be so much more than that. it has the potential to be really powerful. In fact, it can be completely life-changing, okay? You're already aware of this. Like when we experience a disaster, right? Tornado, earthquake, floods. What happens? What's the first thing that people go to? You got to send money, right? Like sadly in the last 2-3 years, we've experienced some crazy shootings, right? What are people donating? Like well, how can we help, man? How can we give money? People are just like, yes, we need to give to that, right? And a lot of times it's money. It's like here, take it so that you can get better, or so that you can get safe, or you can fix that, or you can help that family. Because money used, check this out, money used the right way at the right time has the power to change people's lives. Let me say that again. Because money used the right way at the right time has the power to change people's lives. And we can all agree that giving money to aid people is a good thing, right? You wouldn't be like, no, don't do that. We wouldn't say that, right? We're about it. You know, I don't know many people who are against generosity or helping others, right? So we're pretty much all in favor of that. Are we good? Being generous is a good thing, right? Okay, cool. Who doesn't want to help others? Now, I know what you're thinking. This is where I'm going to change the tone and be like, now give me your allowance. No, okay? It's not like that, okay? Here's what I want you to think about, all right? Because most of you in this room are thinking, yeah, that's awesome, love to be generous, and I want to use money, but guess what? I can't. I don't either you're like, I don't have a job, I don't have money, I just kind of, whatever my parents give me to eat and to go to the movies or to buy a new shirt or something like that, that's really all you have. You know, I can't really have any effect like you're talking about on anything. Like I can't really be generous because I don't have anything to be generous with. Or maybe you're thinking like, my money doesn't really matter. I only gain so much money. I have a little part-time job, or I have a little allowance. Like, what are my $3 that I give, going to do? How's it going to affect anything? Like, you think of yourself so small. It's like I'm talking about big things here, right? Disasters, people that can use help, people that need help out there. We talked about soccer balls last week and how these kids don't have anything to play with in third world countries, in little villages all over the world. And we're asking you for something, you're like, I got change in my pocket. What's that going to do? Is it going to affect anything? Because that's quickly where our brain goes. And so this morning what I want to do is I want to focus on a story. And many of you have heard this story. If not, if this is the first time you're going to hear this story, awesome. I'm excited for you because it's one of those stories where you're like, really? Come on, right? But hey, it's in the scriptures, it's in the Bible, it was recorded a number of times, and it's incredible. About a boy who had pretty much nothing when it compared to what was needed. And God used him and used what he had. And I want us to be able to just look at this story, maybe with new glasses, just in a new way. Maybe you've heard it again so many times since you were little. And you're like, okay, whatever, we've heard this before. But I want you guys to just come with me for a second and really think about the matter and think about what's going on in the story. Because it's intense if you were there. It would have been incredibly intense. And if you could walk into that, even today, it would be insane. So, in chapter 6 of John, who's got it? Say, I got it if you got it. Beautiful. All right. That's where we're going to hang out. Here's what's happening. By this time in Jesus' ministry, okay, we're talking about Jesus this morning. In Jesus' ministry, he is traveling, he's done a bunch of miracles by now. He's provided all kinds of stuff. I mean, does anybody like magicians? Anybody like magic? Who said it? Who? Chris Blaine, okay? This guy, if he was outside right now, just mute me. Just mute me. Let's go. I want to watch. I want to see what this homie is doing because it's incredible, right? Some of the things he does is just out of control, right? Just his illusions are just amazing. So sometimes this stuff's going on. Now, Jesus is the real thing, though. He's performing all of these miracles, so you better know that people are hearing about it and they want to go see. So at his ministry, at this point in his ministry, he's going on to this mountainside, and it says that 5,000 men, around 5,000 men, that's not counting the women and children, their wives and their children that came with them, are following Jesus. Here they go. Can you imagine? Like, you get excited if you're going down the mall and you got 10 friends behind you, you know? You feel like powerful. You're like, sweet, man, I'm somebody now. I got all my friends. Woo! You're going to have to plug that in, bro. Yeah, I got all my friends, you know. You feel stoked, you know? I mean, who wants to go to the mall and walk around by themselves, right? You're like, my wife does because she doesn't want our children coming at her. But who wants to go to the mall, right, at this age by themselves, right? You don't want to do that. You want to take your friends. You want to take your crew. It's a good time. Imagine a crew of over 5,000 people. Come on. You're like, they would have to close the roads, right? Amanda's coming to the mall with 5,000 plus of her friends. We need to shut this place down, right? Come on. And this is what's happening with Jesus. He's got all these people coming, and they're all hanging out. Now, comes to a point that all these people get what? They get what? What do you think? After some time, what do you think people want? You want it too. You want it all the time. Food. You want to eat. Who wants to eat right now? Exactly. I want to eat right now, okay? So it comes to a point that they have to eat. They're hungry. So as the people approach, and Jesus, went to one of his disciples, and he says to them, his name is Philip. Hey, Philip. Imagine being this guy. Hey, Philip. Can you go find some food for everyone? Okay. Jesus is hilarious sometimes. Some of the things he says, it's like, seriously, imagine, again, we're all at the mall, okay? And I say to you, we have all our friends here. Somebody's got to feed them. Can you go find some food for all of them? You would look at me like I'm crazy, right? You'd be like, are you crazy, Arnold? We can't feed all these people. Let them feed themselves. Now, they're in the middle of nowhere. There is no, like, Google search for the local Five Guys or anything like that. They're in the middle of nowhere, okay? And in John 6:7 says this. This is what Philip says to Jesus. So funny. Their interaction, I wish I was there. He says to them, it would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. We would have to pay what we make in half of a year for these guys to just have like a little, so good, a bite, right? Because of so many people. And again, I love this interaction, but Jesus is calling them out. And think about it even today. When we throw an event for you guys, you know how much planning that takes? And that's just like 150 of you, okay? It takes like weeks. Like next week, we're having waffles for you here, okay? That in itself is like, how are we going to do that? We need a lot of toasters, We need a lot of syrup, because who's not going to have, without syrup, right? All these things, and that's just for 150 of you. Like, even with all of our conveniences today, all the things that we have today, caterers, we can order things online, all that stuff, right? With all that we have, all the technology we have today, if we wanted to feed over 5,000 people, that would still be insane, even today. So can you imagine then, when they're in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, can you find food for all these guys? What? That's crazy. It's impossible. It's what it is. It's impossible. All right, you guys with me? All right, so here, let's keep going in the story. Here's where we'll pick it up. In John 6, verse 8. He goes, another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will that go among so many? Right? Okay, I can imagine these disciples, they were listening to Jesus tell Philip, hey, you guys need to find food for everybody. And they're like, what? He just said, what? Now, being his disciples, they're like, we got to figure this out. So I can imagine if I was Andrew, I'd be like, hold on. And they started running among the crowd or looking among the crowd. Who's got food? Has anybody got food? The master just says, we have to find food for all these people. And they're probably panicking and freaking out because they didn't see this one coming, right? And here comes Andrew. He's like, I got this boy. He's got a sack lunch. And he's willing to share it. But it's going to maybe be an appetizer, like a little pinch for everybody. 5 pieces of bread and a couple fish. Is that okay, Jesus? But it's just so funny to me that they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to see what they can do. Then Jesus, this is what I love. At this point in the story, they're probably like, I got nothing. This is impossible. I've got nothing. Right? Philip's like, do you realize how much that's going to cost Jesus? Which is funny that he would even think about that. And then 2, you got the disciples that probably already scattered trying to look for some food and trying to figure out. And they're like, this is the best we got. We got a little boy who's offering his lunch. And Jesus, this is when Jesus shows up. It's like he wants them to get to that place. Like, are you done? Are you done trying now? This is the impossible. And now he shows up. Check this out. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. What? What just happened? What just happened? You're like, I've heard this story a million times. Come with me now. What just happened? He prayed, and what happened? It's a real question. Multiplied, right? Not only like, hey, okay, I can multiply maybe times 2 there and see what happens. No. He made so much food for everybody that was there that they were so full that there was leftovers. He provided what they needed and more. This is how he works. It's incredible. And again, it's one of those stories that maybe we've been listening since we were children, and when you were a child, it was like, whoa, that's amazing. But just get there for a second. Think about that, man. Why would they have recorded something like this? That Jesus would provide when it was impossible, he showed up. And we're not even like, think about one of the main characters, the boy, right? Who was willing. He was there and he was willing. You don't know if that was his last meal. You don't know what his family was about. You don't know if they were wealthy. You don't know if they had food for the whole family. You don't know if they were barely scraping by. All we know is that he was available and that he offered what he had when it mattered most. Think about that. He was available and he offered what he had when it mattered most. That's crazy. It would have been easy for him to discount what he had to offer. Can you imagine? He's got his little bag and he's like, he hears the disciples say, hey, do anybody have the food? We need to feed everybody here. And this little boy was like, I can't help. I'll just kind of stay right here. It would have been easier for him to just be like, whatever. Not only that, if they were asking around and they were searching and people heard what was going on, how many adults maybe had lunch with them? And they're like, heck no. I'm just going to keep this right here. It ain't going to help anybody. You kidding me? It took a child. It took a child. Look, I'm biased. I love my kids because they're mine. But I honestly believe Noah, my oldest, would have been this boy. It's just how the way his heart works. He'd be like, right here, I got some food. Because it's something about a child when they think that way. It's like, and I feel like many children would have done this, but it's like in their mind, they don't think of the impossible. Like they're like, that's impossible. Like, I can't get after that. I can't do anything there. That I can't affect that. They don't think that way. They're like, no, let's get to it. Let's make it happen. Oh, I can help. Here you go. I can help. In their mind, it's like, it's so beautiful, the way that their faith in their mind, how it works. And he goes for it. What the little boy had, Jesus was able to do big things. That's incredible. In other words, the boy responded with very little. That's all I got. But because of Jesus, it became a whole lot. There's a whole lot there. For example, last week, we raised funds for soccer balls, right? Do you know how much money we raised just in here with you guys? Anybody like to take a guess? Some people like literally took their change and just kind of threw it in there. $200. $200. That's a lot of money, you guys. Just between you guys. $200. That's 12 soccer balls for 12 either little villages or kids out there. And that's just our first round because we're going to keep sending stuff to them. And we found out where they're going. The first set is going to Albania and a bunch of little villages out there where little boys can play with these soccer balls. You guys did this. The next set that we're sending out is going out to Brazil, to rural areas, to kids who they have nothing. Maybe you gave 50 cents. And you're like, okay, here we go. Doesn't matter, man. The effect that you can have and what God can do with it. What God, listen to this. If you're writing notes or you're trying to just take anything from this, write this down. What God can do isn't limited by what we have. Praise God for that. What God can do isn't limited by what we have. Jesus can make a big change with a small amount of change. He can make a big change with a small amount of change. We've witnessed that just last week. So I want to give you guys a couple things to take with you, okay? These are some things I want you to practice this week, all right? The first one is this. Think of one small move. The heck? Is that me? Think of one small move of generosity you can make this week. Just one. Just one small move. Because right now, up to this point, I'm talking about money. And the reason I'm talking about money is because it's one of the greatest subjects talked about in the Bible, and it is tied up right into our heart. And so that's what we're focusing on. But it doesn't just stop there or just end there, you guys. Just one move. You can show up somewhere and do something. A few months ago, we did a thing called Encounter. We had about 40 of you participate in that. We're having one coming up in a couple months where we're going to take a couple Saturdays and we're going to do these big projects. What we do is we go help single moms. We help fix up their houses. We help provide. Man, if you weren't there, we'll show you the video. But we got to, as a group, we all donated and we got to provide this mom who was having a newborn. It was a surprise newborn, because she had her other kids already. And she didn't have any booster seats for her car anymore, those car seats. And she had given them away from other kids or whatever, and so she didn't have anything. And the baby was going to be born like within weeks. And we got to give her that as a group. It was amazing. She was like in tears, and she's like super thankful. It's just little things like that. We have things that we can team up together, and just one move of generosity. Now, another thing is like Hume, or is like the river. You're like, wait, what? I don't get it. You guys, maybe you've been to the river every year. Maybe you've been to Hume every year. But what if you made a move of generosity and came up and got a scholarship, and maybe you got it for a friend who you know can't go because they can't pay for it. Or maybe you're like, you know what? I'm going to go with my friend. They need a weekend away, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to pay for the river, and they're going to be my free friend. They're going to come with me. That's a move of generosity. We're giving you these opportunities to do that, not just because we want to have fun. That's amazing. That's great. But that's just an environment. That's just a vehicle for us to have an opportunity to be generous to someone, to care for someone, to take someone, to make a move. And again, it doesn't even have to be money. It could be time. It could be something that you have that you're like, man, I'm not even going to use that anymore. I need to give that away. Whatever that effort looks like. The second thing is working together. We have small groups. We have each other. Again, the soccer ball thing was us working together. Encounter will be us working together. So when you hear that coming, which is going to be in like a couple months, when you hear Encounter being announced, that means basically we are partnering up with some local places, some homes, where we're going to go into these homes and we're going to care for them. We're going to love them. We're going to show them generosity. And we're going to show them the hands and feet of Jesus and the heart of Jesus. You got to get in on that. We need your muscles. We need your mind. And sometimes we need your cash. And that's okay. Because even a few bucks can go a long way, especially when we all put them together.